Welcome to Traveling Down, Biblical Archaeology for the 21st Century. I'm Gary Byers. This is Dr. Steve Collins, our rock star for the day, and the leader of the excavations of Talal, Hamam in Jordan. Well, the last few sessions, we've been talking about some of the biblical events that took place at our site, Talal, Hamam. Now, you originally went to the site because you thought it might be biblical Sodom of Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah, I was really convinced based on the geography that, and its size, which is way bigger by several orders of magnitude than all the other sites around it. 10 times bigger than Jericho at the time, 10 times bigger than Jerusalem at the time. So it was really, really big. And so I thought, this has to be it. And we now know that it is. It's the site of biblical Sodom. Of course, all the other cities of the plain are around it.
And then when we start reading the Bible, we recognize all the different characters that came through there, because it was at the other side of the main routes from Jericho on the west side, cross the river, and then you wind up by Tel el-Hammam on the east side.
Yeah. So it was really a hub.
Yeah.
Today's air travel, depending upon what airline, you got to go to the hub.
Yeah.
You got to go to Denver, you got to go to Atlanta, you got to go to Phoenix, or you got to go to Dallas. Okay, well, this was a hub.
Yeah.
It was a distribution hub. It was where several trade routes cross, and one connecting up from the King's Highway over to the Via Maris. I mean, anybody going anywhere in the area would likely cross here. Yeah. And so it was a very important location. And so every Bible character, in fact, I think I went through the Bible, I just was looking, did this character ever wind up in this area, northeast of the Dead Sea, in the area, vicinity of Tal Hamam? And I think I couldn't find hardly anybody.
Yeah.
So maybe the Pharaoh of Egypt, who hadn't hung around in this area. Because you go back, of course, Abraham and Lot and all of his sons, and Isaac and Jacob was there. Jacob's body was actually taken to the area, and the kind of a mourning and a funeral was done there, and then over to bury him over at the near Hebron. Yep. And but then Moses and Joshua, as we talked about, were there, and Elijah was later there. Bible talks about before that King David crossing the Kikar of the Jordan. Just everybody was there. And you get to the New Testament, Jesus came over and preached in this area. John the Baptist was baptizing in this area. This was the area of the city of Livius. This was the capital of Perea, one of the territories of Herod Antipas in the New Testament. So Antipas hung around there. I'm sure King Herod himself earlier had actually come over to this area, because he liked to come over and take advantage of the bathhouses, and look at Kale Roe down on the Dead Sea. But I'm sure he came over to this one too. Yeah. Because the water was really nice, 90-degree water.
So let's talk about our site. And so we went there because of the city of Sodom, but looking at the Bible and excavating it, we find this material from all these other periods. And while we don't necessarily think about it, in fact, one scholar criticized us because we wrote about all the periods that Tal el-Hammam seemed to relate to in the Bible and places. And one particular scholar, and actually what I saw was a response to an article that I had written. And he said, look, you can't have it all. You can't have all of these sites. Pick one and try to make that case, but you can't have them all. Well, sorry, but we think we do.
Yeah, I can't help it. It's not my fault.
Yeah, that's I can't help it.
I mean, the Bible puts a lot of stuff in this area, and it's fun to think about, because it is, if you know the geography, it's easy to see that virtually every biblical character of note came to this area at one time or another in their life.
All right, so let's do the New Testament. Of course, John baptized Jesus fairly close, right in the area.
And if John needed a haircut or whatever, or shave, whatever, maybe he came up and to Livius. Yep. Now, Tal Hamam, Dr. Scott Stripling and Dr. David Graves wrote a paper published in the Journal Levant about Tal Hamam and its connection to the city of Livius.
Yeah.
Now, Livius isn't mentioned by name in the New Testament, or Perea, but the area is well known, and so it's part of Antipas's territories. But they made the case, and I pointed out to them that even though you can't equate Tal Hamam with Livius, it's the gateway to Livius, and we have the big bathhouse, Roman period bathhouse on the site, taking advantage of the cool and the warm spring right at the site. And so that's sort of the gateway. You come down from the road. In fact, David Graves actually walked the road from Nebo. In fact, they actually found several Roman mile markers on the way down. They actually took one and hauled it over, and it's there at the mosque, at the base of the Tal Hamam. But so they actually walked it down. I think it said it takes about 2 hours, 2.5 hours to get from Mount Nebo down to Tal Hamam along that road. So the ancient road brings you right to Tal Hamam, and that's sort of the gateway to Livius. Yeah. And so Livius really stretches from our site, which has Roman ruins around it and other big Roman features like the big cisterns that are up on the hills that are feeding the city of Livius. And but it would stretch from there 4 or 5 kilometers all the way down to Ramah, the area of Ramah. And we do find Roman ruins, Roman columns, mosaics down in that area. So it's the city of Livius is there. And John the Baptist probably had some contact with it. Jesus certainly, when he went to Perea, when Jesus went over to Perea, it's interesting, I think one of the things he preached about when he went over into that territory was Sodom and Gomorrah. Somebody pointed that out to me.
Interesting.
Because he certainly would have known what was in the area. And so, but Jesus was there, and it's amazing. Because Jesus spent a lot of time in Bethany, in the area of Bethany beyond Jordan. Mm-hmm. Bethany would have just been a little town that was just a little bit closer to the river, but sort of a burb of Livius.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Livius was the capital of this region, and this is where Herod Antipas would have come. In fact, Livius was actually named for the emperor's wife, the Roman emperor's wife.
Augustus's wife.
That was, you want to get favor with the emperor, you just name something after him or his wife, and that's where the name comes from. And so it was a major city. Now, what we have found at Talal Hamam, as you described, as sort of the eastern gateway into Livius, and we haven't found a gate, but we got all kinds of ruins from the Roman period. Talk about some of them.
Well, we have 2 notable ones. We mentioned one already, the big bathhouse. It's big. Yes. It's probably a multi-story affair. It's 40 meters by 40 meters. Yeah. I mean, it's a big building. Some of the stones are a meter and a half, 2 meters, big and thick and wide, and it's all carved up with little rooms and we see the little spigots coming out of the walls, and it's a bathhouse. And probably also, you would think sort of a Motel 6 kind of a deal. They probably have some rooms upstairs where travelers could stay, maybe a lodge of sorts. And so that's important. And that's just on the lower city. It's kind of sitting right there, just east of the gateway of Sodom from the Middle Bronze Age. And so that's a really neat thing. And then up on top of the upper city, right up on the Acropolis, there's another building that's about, I would say maybe 12 meters, 15 meters by 15 meters, something like that. That's probably about right. And it is, Dr. Rittmeyer has identified it as a signal tower. Now, I think in the Byzantine period later, it was made into some kind of little shrine, because we found the columns and the column capitals, and some of them rolled down the hill. But probably it was a signal
fire signal
installation mirrors during the daytime. You could use large bronze mirrors, or you could use fires on cloudy days or at night. And so what for? What was the signal for? Well, there were a lot of Jews living in Babylon. And this is all coming from Lane Rittmeyer, who, by the way, is one of the great archaeological architects.
Yeah, the Holy Land.
And has drawn for most sites and ours, so he is our official architect as well. But Lane was saying, he researches all this stuff. And but one of the things is that the Jews in Babylon always wanted to start their Sabbath, their Shabbat, at the same time as Jerusalem in the temple. Okay, so they needed a signal. So as sundown nears, as Shabbat is coming in, as the sun is setting, a signal fire was lit in the temple in Jerusalem, which then goes to the top of the Mount of Olives, another signal location, which then goes right line of sight to the signal on the top of Talal Hamam. Up the valley, there's another one up the valley, right up the valley to the highlands, and then to Babylon. Signal towers going all the way to Babylon.
Now that's hundreds of miles.
Yeah. And what Lane said is what they would do was pass a signal from Jerusalem to Babylon, and it blew me away when I thought of this, but we're talking about the speed of light here. Mm-hmm. So the only lag time of this is being able to take the signal and aim it to the next one. Yeah. So you see it, you aim it to the next one, and on it goes. 10 minutes to send a signal, about 10 minutes from Jerusalem to Babylon.
And you think, well, that's hard to believe, and it is a little bit, but this was important to them. This is really important to them.
There were more Jews living in Babylon in the first century, in the time of Jesus, than there were in Jerusalem.
Wow.
So there's a huge community over there.
So it's Sunday, it's a Friday afternoon, and doesn't matter where you are, you know roughly the time it's going to be. So you're there. Your job is to be ready, and you're going to have your fire going. You can have your mirror ready, and you know where you're looking. And as soon as you get it, you're ready. You just turn, and then it immediately goes to the next guy. So everybody's ready. So it seems almost impossible, but it really wouldn't be.
And these signal towers, these signal installations go out in all directions, all over that region, and they could be used.
Yeah, for war,
for military purposes, signaling purposes as well. So I just think that's pretty cool. We have one sitting right on the top of our site.
Yeah. In fact, its construction is a lot like one of the buildings at Masada, built by King Herod. And so we like to think maybe this is a Herodian structure. Yeah. And the bathhouse is built with Herodian kind of ashlar, really nicely cut limestone blocks.
Very nice.
So we also have over there at the site, we have aqueducts to carry water, not on the site, but just off the site, around the site. Now I always look at aqueducts, sitting up high with water coming, on pillars.
And we did have a big one. There's a really big one bringing water down from the highlands into the large cisterns up high on the hill.
Yes, and then we've got the low ones down around us. So, and all that from the Roman period, Roman concrete. So it's just an amazing site, amazing finds that we've had at Talal Hamam that illuminate not only the city of Sodom, and we talked about the city of Abel, the site of Abel Shittim in Moses and Joshua's day, and here we are in the New Testament, and it illuminates the New Testament world amazingly.
And we haven't even talked about Solomon.
Yeah. Well, we'll do that next.
We'll do that next.
Well, we're glad to have you join us. You probably can tell we love this stuff, and we feel so fortunate to be able to dig at Talal Hamam, and we're glad to tell you whatever we're finding and what we're finding at the site and what we're seeing in the Bible and how wonderfully well it comes together. So Archaeology for the 21st Century, Excavations at Talal, Hamam. Glad you joined us.